All right, I think we're ready to start. Hello, everybody. My name is Kathy Holt, and I'm pleased to be with you here on the speaker series for your Junior Achievement Career session. Thank you for having me. I am going to share my screen because I created a little bit of a presentation for you because I think that might be the most interesting way to share my journey with you. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I hope you are all able to see my presentation. So my name is Kathy Holt, and I am from Toyota Financial Services. And my role is I'm an information officer at Toyota Financial Services, and I'm responsible for consumer and commercial lending, vehicle protection, and banking. And I'm going to tell you what that is. And I also put a little sign down here about our Toyota for Good. This is how I got the opportunity to share with you today. Toyota is very big on allowing the employees and engaging the employees to work with the communities. And so when this opportunity came along for us to share in your speaker series, I was happy to raise my hand and have the opportunity to share with you. So thank you for having me. All righty. Let's talk about what is Toyota Financial Services. So you may already be familiar of what Toyota is. It's a company based in Japan, now all over the world, and we develop Toyota brand cars and Lexus brand cars. And what is Toyota Financial Services? Well, the financial services is the function within Toyota that helps our customers get loans and leases so that they can buy our cars. So if you go to a Toyota or Lexus and you kind of see a sign, like I showed you up in the upper left-hand corner here, that says we have a deal right now that's 1.9% interest for 60 months, that loan or that lease is coming through us, Toyota Financial Services. And we do things like take the credit application, check the FICO score, onboard the loan, send out the bills, take the payments, help you understand if you want to pay it off early, what the payoff amount is, and that type of thing. And so the information services part of that is, quite frankly, all the IT work that happens behind the scenes. As you can imagine, almost any company organization has a type of an IT organization helping them with the functions that need to be automated through a computer, either through screens that their customers might see or back-end processes like in banking and consumer loans and leases, calculating all the interest payments and the payments. And we also are responsible for protection products, which these are the things when you go to a dealer and they offer you a service like, if you buy this service, it's a little bit almost like an insurance program, and if you lose your key, we'll replace it for free. That's what a protection product is. And then banking is because we also have a bank for our employees and our dealers. We make available loans for personal loans, for mortgages or personal deposits accounts into personal loans. So that's what Toyota Financial Services does. And information officer means that I'm responsible for many of the teams that do the IT functions within Toyota Financial Services. Okay, so is that what I wanted to be when I grew up? Not necessarily. As you can see, it was a long and winding road from high school, which was at Bishop Lynch. I'm a Dallas native, born and raised here in Dallas, and I went to Bishop Lynch High School, and that was not necessarily what was on my mind when I were in high school. So I'm going to take you a little bit through my journey from high school to the place where I am today. So started at college for me. I went to the University of North Texas in Denton, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of my college path and what I wished I'd known along the way. So year number one, what was I? I was a computer science major. I went into college and I thought I wanted to study computer science because computer programming is very interesting to me. And I had been doing it in high school and I thought that would be a fun thing to do. And so I did that for a year. And at the end of the year, I got to thinking, hey, computer scientists, I think they sit in cubicles and never get to talk to anybody. And that doesn't sound like very much fun. So I'm not sure I want to be a computer scientist. I probably should change my career. What do I wish I'd known at that time? I wish I had known that computer scientists do not necessarily sit in a cubicle all day programming and never talk to anybody. That's not true. You can if you're a computer scientist, but most of them don't. But I didn't know that, so I changed my career. Year number 2, I became a recreation major. Why? Because I wanted to have fun and I wanted to be outside. So I wanted to be a park ranger or work in parks and recreation. Yes, that show didn't exist back then, but it seemed like a fun idea to me. And so that was my major, my second year. What happened? At the end of the second year, I'd been studying enough about what people do with a recreation major to realize that while they do have a fun and interesting job, they do not make very much money. And I thought to myself, wow, I don't want to put myself through college and not make a lot of money. I need to get a different degree. What do I wish I'd known? I wish I'd known more about how to balance what you can make with your chosen career against how you can live your life with that amount of money. I just really didn't understand what life costs and the different choices you can make in life that make it cost more or less. And so I just decided to kind of move to a career that I could make more money at. So year number 3, I decided I would become an accountant. Why? Because I'm good at math and they can make a decent salary. So I started doing my accounting degree. And at the end of that year, it's spring, it's the spring semester, it's tax time, and everyone's talking about how all the tax laws are changing at tax time. And I thought to myself, oh no, I'm going to get this degree about accounting. And then when I graduate, the tax laws are going to change and I'm not going to know how to do my job. And it's going to be terrible because I'm not going to be able to do my job and I'm going to have to learn my chosen profession all over again. So I better change my degree. What do I wish I'd known? I wish I had known that no matter what career you pick, things are going to change over the course of time and you will learn. You will learn how to adapt to the change. And so you really don't need to fear the fact that what you're learning in college may change in the future. You will pick up on the change. But I didn't know that. So year number 4, I'm going into management. I'm going to be a manager. Why? Because that seems like a good, general, solid career. So I became a management major, did a year of that. And as I was going through my management classes, our professors were telling us, you really don't want to be a management major. People are getting rid of, businesses are getting rid of middle management and you'll never be able to get a job because management is not good. And, we don't need as many managers in this world in this business as we thought we did. So I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to get a job as a manager. I better change my degree again. So I'm 4 years in, right? And I went to the career placement center that most colleges have. And I said, hey, give me that test that you take that tells you what you should be when you grow up. You may have taken one of those tests by now. It's the kind of test that it gauges both your interests and your skills. So I took that test and they said, okay, we know what you should be when you grow up. And I said, great, what should I be? You know what I should be? A computer scientist is what they told me. So year number 5, I got a business computer information systems because I had so many business classes by then. I finished the degree in the business school, finishing the computer science and got my degree. So that was my journey through college. Don't find yourself surprised as you kind of work your path from high school to whatever your first career type job is, if you find that you follow a few different interests along that path. Funny little story I'll share with you at the bottom corner. I'm graduating and my dad says to me, so I guess you wanted to be like your dad. Guess what? That's exactly what my dad does. He's a computer scientist and I did not know that. I lived in the same house with him, but he worked at the Federal Reserve Bank. And the joke at home was, Dad works at the bank and he makes money. And I didn't know exactly what he did. So yes, I got a degree that's exactly what my dad does. Okay, finished college, first job. First job out of college, I went to work for JCPenney. JCPenney is a department store, if you're not familiar, and they were in the process of moving from New York City to Dallas, and they were hiring computer programmers as they moved here. So I joined them there. And it was kind of a class of us, about 20 of us from different colleges that they'd hired all at the same time that summer. And you're probably wondering, did you use any of those things you learned in college? Because sometimes you might hear that you just go to college to get that paper and you don't really use what you learned. I did use what I learned. So of the varying different degrees I got out of the year I studied computers, I learned and used the skills for analysis and design and coding and testing and debugging. So I used a lot of those skills. But when I was an accountant, I learned things that helped me do the project cost tracking. So when I was working at things at work and they're like, how much is it going to cost us to write this program? And is it going to be valuable? Are we going to get a return on this program? I was able to do that type of analysis. And on a personal note, I was able to do my own taxes. From the management classes, I learned a lot about communication and presentation and international customs, which was going to come in later in my career. But I was very good at being able to communicate the problem statement of what we needed to do in the IT department and why I was making the recommendation and taking the approach that I was taking to solve it, and then present the solution to people and actually do the training of the users. In my business computer information systems, I learned about organizational behavior and marketing, which also became important. There's some marketing that you do probably of yourself and your work in almost any job. And how did I apply that year of recreation? Well, just in that when I'm not working, I went and played outside. I learned a lot about work-life balance and making the most of your free time. So I had that first job. And did I finally get to stop learning? Do you do all your learning in college and that you don't have to learn anything else? Nope, I still had to keep on learning. So I'll give you an early example, first year on the job. The picture to the left that you see is a pager, in case you haven't seen one before. I'm in IT, I'm on call, I'm carrying a pager because I'm responsible if a program goes down in the middle of the night, I've got to get it back up and running. So on my first month with the pager, beep, 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 in the middle of the night, they call me and they say, the program stopped, we need you to get it running. So I get up and I log in and the program's down, but that's okay. I have my debugging skills. I know how to fix it. And I look at the file that it's trying to process and I find a record, a bad record in that file, and I delete that record and I restart the program and it runs fine. So good for me. I went back to bed. 3 days later, beep, 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 they call me, that program failed again. Okay, I know how to fix it. So I look in the file and sure enough, there's another bad record. So I delete that record. I start the job and it runs again. And I think to myself, I should figure out what that bad record is about in the morning, not in the middle of the night right now. So the next day I start asking around, hey, this program that I'm responsible for that I have to make run, when it fails in the middle of the night, what does it do anyways? And they said, what it does is all the stores enter all the items that they want to order for their stores throughout the day. And that program gathers all the orders and then sends it out to all the suppliers so that they can fulfill the orders. So that means that in the middle of the night, when I'm deleting a record to get that program to run, I'm deleting some store's order. Some store is waiting for some merchandise to come to sell to a customer and put on their mannequins and put on their shelves, and they're not getting it because I'm deleting the record. I shouldn't do that. I should figure out what's wrong with these records. So I did ultimately do some analysis, figured out what was wrong with the record. It was for an item that was formatted with a special character, traced it back to how it was getting entered, and made a validation in that program to say, hey, don't enter special characters. It makes our program go down. So what do I want to share with you from that? When you get into the job market, you're going to have to be curious. You're going to ask why. You're going to need to connect the dots. You're going to need to understand why you're doing what you're doing and apply that context to the bigger picture of wherever it is that you're working. And you're going to continuously be learning new things, both technical skills and industry knowledge. So from a technical perspective, I was learning new programming techniques and new programming languages as time goes by. New programming languages come out. And then I was in the retail industry. So I was learning how the merchandise assortment gets planned for the stores and how do they order it and how do they determine how to, organize it on the floor. and how do they price it, and how do they market it, and how do they mark it down at the end of the season to make sure that they get it out of there so they can bring the new merchandise in. So you're always learning. You're learning through classes and manuals, you're learning through trial and error and hands-on, you're learning through conferences and coaches and role models. You're observing people, not just people who are doing the job that you're doing, but people that are enjoying the results of your job. So when I would write a program and then I would go teach the users how to use my program, I would watch them. And then I would see how they interact with my program, and I would learn so much because I would think, I didn't think a user would do that with my program, and I learned how to be a better programmer. You go on site visits, you study industry news, so there's so many ways to learn. And then the last note there is always take notes. Sometimes when you're learning something, it seems so obvious when you're learning, you don't even need to write it down, but you'll be surprised 6 months later that you can't remember what you learned and now you want to use it again. And organize your work so that you can reuse it and plagiarize from yourself and build on it as time goes by. So over the course of my career, and yours, there will be many opportunities where you'll have decisions that you need to make. So I told you that was a long and winding road. So here's my long and winding road. Kind of starts with the first few years. Am I going to stay at JCPenney, or am I going to leave and go somewhere else? There's a little picture of my first badge there. And at the time, there was a little bit of a conversation that said, don't stay at a company too long because you'll be pursued, you'll be perceived as only understanding that company and not flexible, and you'll never be able to get another job. So if you want to leave, you should do it in the first few years. Maybe not true anymore, but throughout the course of whatever career you choose, you'll have times when you're kind of deciding, am I staying where I am, or am I wanting to move on and do something else? Then there was a choice of, do you want to keep programming, or do you want to move into management? That was a choice that I needed to make at one point in time. I chose to move into management. If I had chosen not to move into management, could I have still made that choice to move into management later? Absolutely. If I had chosen to move into management and then a year later decided I don't like it, I want to program again, could I have gone back? Absolutely. So when choices are given to you and you make one choice, make the best of it, but don't fear that you can't navigate yourself back to something else if you want to. More time goes by. You see a little picture at the bottom. I'm having a family. I had twins, a little boy and a little girl, and the topic of travel came up. I got an assignment and they were asking me to travel every week, go to Boston, every Monday morning, go to Boston and come back on Wednesday. My children were small, and I was saying, hey, I don't want to travel like this when my children are small. I want to be there for them. So I had to make some decisions about what my role was going to be and what project I was going to be on based on the amount of travel there. More time goes by and I have the opportunity to launch a new department. The department was in India. So there you see a picture of me in India. Do I want to launch a new department in India? So that was a big leap for me because I love to travel. But again, I didn't want to move to India. I was happy to travel to India, and it was launching a brand new department, which I'd never done before. So I opted to do that, and I learned a lot from it. Then the opportunity came along. Do you want to take an executive role? And when that came along, I had to think to myself, do I want to take an executive role? Is there work-life balance in an executive role? I want to understand more. I want to make sure that I'm making the right choice there. So I kind of shadowed an executive for a while to make that choice. Then there's other choices that you'll make along the way. Do you like the culture of the company that you're at, or do you need to move someplace with a culture that fits you better? Do you like the industry that you're in, or do you want to change industries? So you kind of see I changed industries. I was in the retail technology industry, and I moved to the financial services technology industry. I'm still in technology, but a different industry. And that's a picture of me with my group my peers and my boss at Toyota in the picture there. So lots of decision points along the way where you'll balance what you want in life and what you want in career, and you'll make choices many times throughout your career. So do I have any words of wisdom for you? I do have a few words of wisdom for you. One is rethink the idea of a dream job from the the concept of finding your one true passion to just working towards something that engages you and that you can be good at. I don't know who cloned the idea of dream job, but it seems to conjure up the idea that it's this job that you love every minute of, and it pays wonderfully, and it gives you everything you want. And I don't know anybody that has that job. So find something that you're interested in and that you're good at, and know that you can always fill your off time into things that you really love. So for me, that recreation job I didn't do, now I spend my vacations in the national parks because that's what I love. Number two, try new things and be patient with your adoption. Sometimes you're going to be the one to initiate the change. You're going to volunteer for an extracurricular activity, or you're going to make a very purposeful career change. And sometimes the change is going to be introduced to you. It may be a request of you to take on a new role, or it may be a complete work shift change. Hello, COVID. Nobody raised their hand for that change. It was a change that happened for all of us. And so, speaking from my experience, it created for us, for example, the whole work from home. You had school from home, we had work from home, we had a beautiful office. I enjoyed the office. I enjoyed seeing people. I enjoyed going down to the Starbucks. But now I get to work from home, and that was a shift for us. And we had shifted in the workplaces this too. Our customers, they didn't want to go into the dealer to buy a car, so we needed to be able to do the contracting and all the things that you would normally do at a dealership electronically. So we had to do some new things with our computer programs. And then the last thing is do exactly what you're doing today. Talk to others about what they do. What do they appreciate about what they do? And what do they find challenging? Every single role has its privileges and its opportunities. The grass is not always greener, so keep talking to people and understand what they do. Appreciate how everybody contributes, and that includes you, how you contribute, because it takes a lot of different skills and a lot of different capabilities to make things move forward. So continue to be curious and interested in what folks are doing. And that is the end of my official presentation. So I'm going to click on stop sharing, and I'm going to have the opportunity to look at your questions, which I'm really looking forward to. Okay. How old do you have to be to buy a new car? Well, generally speaking, you have to be 18 so that you're an adult and you can be responsible for your credit. You can still get mom or dad or someone that you love to sign for you and be also financially responsible for your credit, but you need to be 18, generally speaking, to title and license the car. Do I get to work from home? Yes, I do. That's a funny question because it says, do you get to work from home? Some people love to work from home. Some people look forward to getting back to the office. I'm a look forward to getting back to the office kind of a person. How did you know UNT was right for you? I will have to say, at the time when I was going to college, we didn't have as much visibility to all the colleges as you have today. And I can understand how it might be overwhelming because we didn't have the internet back then. So now you can see all these options and you're trying to figure out which one is right for you. I didn't have that visibility to all those options. I knew that I wanted to stay in the state of Texas because, quite frankly, it was affordable and I was putting myself through college. I went to a few colleges in Texas and I liked North Texas. I liked the campus. I felt comfortable there. It wasn't too rural. It wasn't too city. It was green. It was beautiful and I liked it. And then when I joined there, I liked the curriculum there. I had friends there. I lived in the dorms the whole time. I was an RA in the dorms and it was just a good fit for me. Did I make good grades in math? I did. I made good grades in almost everything I did. In fact, I was a pretty darn good student. I only got one C in my college career, and it was, I'm ashamed to say, it was in my first year in a computer class of all classes. I was learning a language called Pascal. The teacher was from a Scandinavian country, and I had a hard time with his dialect, and I just didn't pick it up very well. But I learned a lot of other computer languages just fine. What is the funnest part of my job? The funnest part of my job, quite frankly, is when I get to interact with my business clients and understand new things we're trying to do. And then I get to come back and work with my team and say, how can we do this for our client? Our client wants to do this for our customers. How can we change our computer program to do that? And then to see it through and launch it. So here's an exciting thing that we got to do. We always provided financial services for Toyota and Lexus customers. About a year ago, Mazda came to us and said, hey, how about you become the financial server for our Mazda customers? And we said, sure. So we built a whole portal that's branded Mazda. If you go to it, you would never know that behind the scenes, it's the Toyota company do the financing. It says Mazda Financial Services, but behind the scenes, all those computer systems are still within my department. And it was fun to launch that for Mazda. Do I drive a Toyota car? If you work there, I do. I drove a Camry for the first couple of years, and now I drive a Lexus and IS. A pager. You saw the picture of a pager. I hope you never have to live with a pager, but it's a thing that wakes you up in the middle of the night when you're a computer programmer. Hey, doctors carry them too. You've seen Grey's Anatomy, they have that pager. So yeah, some jobs are the types of jobs that to wake you up in the middle of the night to do something important. Do we do summer interns? We do. We do have classes of summer interns. So I will figure out a way to connect with your team and figure out how we can give you more information about how we do summer interns. Okay, what kind of classes can I take to help me get this kind of job? I like to analyze. So computer classes are a great way to get into this job. And some people do it through a college degree. Some people do it through a trade school. There's lots of ways to do it. But I would say you're going to take some computer classes, basically, to get this type of a job. Do programmers help stop bank robbers from hackers? Yes, we have a whole information security team, a cybersecurity team that is always watching to make sure that people are not hacking into our computers. We have all of our customers' data. We have their financial data. We have their personal data, and we don't want anybody to get it. So yes, we do have an info security department, and that's what they do. They keep all the programs and data secure. I didn't know there's a Toyota in India. What other countries? So to clarify, the India job I had was while I was still at JCPenney. I was launching a branch of an IT group for JCPenney in India. But yes, Toyota does have a Toyota India. They started in Japan. They're in almost every country. So here in North America, there's a Toyota of Canada. There's a Toyota of Mexico. We're considered the America Toyota. I've been to the Toyota in Mexico. It's lovely. We were sharing some information about some of our programs. But there is a Toyota in Europe. There's a Toyota in Australia. There's Toyotas all over the world. It's really a global company. So those are all of my questions. I'm going to pause there in case there's anything else that comes in. And I know we're almost at time, and I promise to not keep you over because it's about lunchtime. So thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. I hope that you got a little bit of insight as to what it's like to have an IT degree, what one path to an IT degree is. There's lots of paths to getting there, but I hope it sparked some interest and helped you as you start to evaluate what might be a nice career choice for you, or at least a nice beginning career choice, because you may make other choices.